Alright, it's time for another episode of Cooking with Carter, and today we're going to do a little bit more complicated dish than you're used to seeing me do. I'm actually going to cook about 4.5 pound chicken. Before I start anything on this, make sure that when you buy these, one of the first things that you do is you drain the chicken well and wash it. You wash it very well, make sure to remove the bag with the giblets and gravy inside, and then wash it again. That way that the chicken is cleaned and all of the juices and things like that have been washed off. One of the first things that I like to do before I start anything, I wash my hands thoroughly, because anytime you're dealing with chicken, you have a risk of with E. coli and things like that, so you want to make sure that your hands are clean and all of that. I'm going to take basically a stick of butter out of the fridge. I used any kind of stick butter will work. Margarine will work. I prefer Country Crock. It works a little bit better than most butters that I use. I can't believe It's Not Butter is good too. As far as that's concerned, it really doesn't matter. But I actually take it cold directly out of the fridge. I take the stick, and I usually use about half a stick. So I'm going to just grab a knife and cut this in half. That way I don't use, I use half the stick on the outside and the other half I use on the inside. And what that does, it allows your chicken to come out pretty moist. And that's actually a trick that my mother taught me when I first started cooking. Chicken is one of my favorite things to do because it really is, you can do so many things with it. You can bake it, you can fry it, you can fricassee it, you can do turducken, which is a combination of turkey, chicken, and duck wrapped into it. It's often fried in a big what they call it is it's called a bucket fryer, actually, and it does quite well. So what I'm doing right now is, again, I'm rubbing the outside of the chicken, and this is what's known as a butter bath, is the technical term for it. And you want to make sure to get the outside well. This also helps the chicken to brown and not burn. When cooking it in the oven, it's one of the things to, and I actually will a lot of times leave part of the stick of butter in the pan and allow the chicken to cook in its own juices to do that sort of thing as far as cooking is concerned. What I'm doing is preheating my oven to 350 degrees. I'm approximately going to cook this chicken for about 2 hours, and it will cook pretty slowly. Okay, now I've buttered the chicken basically on both sides. Now, what I'm going to do after seasoning everything, again, before you do anything with the chicken, you want to make sure that you take the bag of ingredients out of it. Now, I make about a 1/4 inch slit down into the chicken, and you want to find the middle and actually go in and make a decent sized hole. And I do about 4 of these. And you can tell kind of where your knife goes in. And this is another way to make your chicken nice and moist, okay? So what we're going to do is the stick of butter that we have, we're going to take a piece of it And we're actually going to take this hole here and we're going to make it about a finger size. And we're going to take some of this butter and we're literally going to take the stick of butter and we're going to jam it on the inside to where it literally breaks apart. And you want to get a good amount of butter inside there. To make sure. And you do that for each of the holes that you made. So it's a bit of a messy job, but in the end, it will be a much better and happier bird. How is the bird happy? Well, when we cook it and show this bad boy, you'll find out. So basically, I've gone in and just found the holes that I made. Now the other half a stick here that I have, I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And what we're going to do with this is this whole half a stick of butter here is going to go on the inside of this chicken. And basically, not to be rude or to be evilly gross, but I'm going to take this half a stick of butter and shove it right in the cavity of the chicken. So good thing this bad boy's dead, because this would be insanely painful. Alright. So, now we've got the butter in there. We got her all lavendered up and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to ask my little cameraman back here to pass me a towel. And he will do so. Thank you. Marshall again doing the camera work today. We have a tripod today, so you'll notice that the camera is not moving as much. I'm not sure how much of the camera he's had to move to pick up what I'm doing with the bird and all of that. We have a special guest today. Max is in the living room, but he's not in here today due to the foot injury that he's sustained, so he's doing much better, though actually over hanging out watching me cook today. So he's in the back there just chilling out, seeing what's going on. How much time we got there, Marshall?
20.
Alright, so now we're going to go with the seasonings here and make sure that Marshall's getting a good shot of everything on the bird. I start off with a generous amount of seasoning salt. And you want to make sure to basically coat this bird with seasoning. Okay, I'm also going to go with onion powder. Now I don't use quite as much onion powder because remember, in the last shows that we did, I explained to you that onion powder is a little bit stronger, a little bit more potent than most seasonings. Then I go with garlic salt. A little bit of all-purpose seasoning. About a tablespoon of oregano. Some sea salt. Now, sea salt is a little bit more salty than most salts are concerned. It's also a bigger brand of the type of salt that I use. It's also very difficult to do with slippery hands. Measures out to about maybe a tablespoon and a half to 2 tablespoons of sea salt, because this is a fairly big bird. That was not a Sesame Street pun, sorry about that. The yellow guy with the big feathers might get a little offended. I don't know how many people watched Sesame Street when they were kids, but I did. And personally, Elmo scared the crap out of me. But what we're doing right now is I'm putting a generous amount of black pepper on the chicken. Okay, now we're going to flip him over, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, we'll start. And make sure when you cook your chicken, the way I do it, I turn him long ways. Or vertically, actually, if you can turn them vertical or horizontal, but depending on how your pan fits, I actually like to turn mine horizontally because it lays in the pan better. So we're going to do a generous amount of seasoning salt. I'm going to do about a tablespoon of onion powder. A little bit of garlic salt. Just a general amount to cover your bird. Make sure that he's covered well. Going to go with the all-purpose seasoning. A little bit of sea salt. And sometimes, if you have trouble getting the sea salt out of these grinder contraptions, if you shake it up just a little bit, it breaks some of the sea salt up. And then lastly, we're going to do just a little bit of oregano. And finally, some freshly ground black pepper in a garlic salt container. This is black pepper, but it says garlic salt, and I use a lot of pepper, so I don't have a pepper mill, so I use the spare garlic salt bottle that I have. Alright, lastly, what we're going to do is turn our big boy back over and shift him down into the pan. Okay, I'll take the towel and give my hands a good wipe. A little bit of butter here, right on top there. Alright, so now, what we're going to do, we're going to let the oven preheat. We're going to cook this bad boy for about 2 hours, hour and 45 minutes, or until it's done. When we come back, I'll show you what this looks like. I do recommend after the first hour, turning your pan. You don't necessarily have to flip the bird. I flip it in increments of 4 30, 30, 30, and 30. So that's basically how it works. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. When we come back, you'll see how Mr. Chicken looks, all cooked and ready to go, and we'll serve it up for you. Enjoy, have a great day, and a happy holiday season to everybody out there. And this is what the chicken looks like when it is done. All golden brown, ready to go, and that'll do it.